Hey, Paul here, back at you with another Q&A session. Everyone seems to love these Q&As. I'm glad you like them. But before we get started here, couple quick requests, the same old song and dance. If you want to support my channel and see me succeed, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. I get a lot of people watching my videos, not that many people subscribing. YouTube, for some reason, only loves you if you get subscribers, so I need subscribers. I'm not too proud to beg. Also, if you enjoy this video, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, ask them in the question and comment section below. If you would like your questions answered in a future Q&A, you could also put your questions down here. I will make sure I add those to a future Q&A. If you need to get in contact with me, my contact information is below. You can follow me on Instagram or send me a DM there. My Instagram handle is Paul K. Barnett. My email address is also down below. My email address is bigp3rd@gmail.com. All right, so let's dig into this. First question I have, does EQ give you the same benefits as DBOL? I seem to have ruffled feathers with my DBOL sucks videos and then comparing DBOL to equipoise. I got a lot of buttholes puckered up over that one. I've got another video coming out out about it where I kind of clarified some of my statements on DBOL and EQ. So does EQ and DBOL give you the same benefits? Well, I think EQ is a better choice. If you look at them molecularly, they are the same minus the methylation, which makes it orally available. That methylation, I will point out, does change the action of the drug to a certain extent, okay? A lot of the fundamental properties of it are still the same. It's still an anabolic. It still promotes protein synthesis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I personally think that the methylation of the molecule makes DBOL a worse version of equipoise, okay? What it does, the DBOL converts to methyl estrogen, which causes a shit ton of horrible estrogen side effects. It is like estrogen on steroids itself. The methylation also makes it liver toxic. Just the methyl estrogen alone will cause you to bloat up. A lot of people think they're getting huge on DBOL, and try it for a while. You know, people will gain 20 pounds in 2 weeks and like, look at all this muscle I've gained. You didn't gain fucking 20 pounds of muscle. You're just a bloated Michelin man. Your blood pressure's through the roof. You didn't actually gain any muscle. You're just bloated as fuck from all the estrogen. That's all it is. So I think EQ is a better choice. That's my opinion. If you want to take DBOL, rock on with it. I think DBOL is the most garbage steroid there is. It is, I believe, now don't quote me on this, somebody, if you want to call me out on it, but I believe it was the first synthetic analog of testosterone. Basically the first attempt at making an anabolic androgenic steroid derivative. It is version 1, in other words. Version 1 always sucks. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. All right, next question. Do you use a fiber supplement? I ask because it appears that there's not much fiber in your diet. And perhaps many people digest or move food better without much fiber. Okay, yeah, you caught me. I don't eat a lot of vegetables, especially when I am in a hypertrophy phase where I'm jamming down calories. I also have IBS. I think I've talked about it before. And anybody with IBS knows when you eat too many vegetables, you're asking for it. You're going to shit your pants. Vegetables fuck my stomach up, especially when I'm eating a ton of food. What I do, yes, I do use a fiber supplement twice a day. I usually just take Metamucil. Well, one of them I use Metamucil. The other one I use more of a insoluble fiber. I forget what brand it is, but So I'll do a greens powder as well to get my veggies in that way. On my high carb days, I don't use any veggies. On my medium days and my low days, I do get some veggies in. I'll mix them in with my meals, but I'll play it by ear. When you're trying to get 5,000, 6,000 calories in, you just don't have room for vegetables. They bloat you up. I know it's not the healthiest thing. Bodybuilding diets aren't meant for optimizing health. They're meant for optimizing hypertrophy. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to live to be 100 years old, don't do a bodybuilding diet. If I were trying to live to be old, I would probably eat a Mediterranean diet, do some sort of intermittent fasting, only eat once or twice a day. Low calories have been shown to be better for longevity. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. All right, next question here. Were you experiencing a lot of side effects such as loss of sex drive when your estrogen was so high, or were you okay, but you just wanted to bring such high levels down to a safer range? I mentioned, so I mentioned in a previous video that I think at one point my estrogen was over 300. It does happen. I don't know if there is such a thing as lowering it into, lowering it being safer. Honestly, my sex drive was fine when my estrogen was high. It was the weirdest fucking thing. I just had issues with gyno and bloating and my blood pressure going up, So my policy has always been in the off season to protect your health. I let my estrogen go as high as I can tolerate. Right now, I'm not using any AI with 750 milligrams of test and 600 EQ. I'm using 0 AIs right now. Everything seems to be fine. My libido's fine. My sexual function's fine. No blood pressure issues. And the reason I do that is because estrogen is cardio and neurologically protective. It helps protect you from the neurologic damage that some anabolic androgenic steroids can cause, specifically nandrolones. I'm just speculating, but I think it probably can provide some level of protection there. It also makes for your lipid panels to come out better. I mean, my cholesterol is better when my estrogen's high. I remember one time when my estrogen was super high, my total cholesterol was like 80. It was nuts. And my HDL was super high as well. It was like 50 or something. So my cholesterol was almost non-existent. When I crush it, my cholesterol goes up and my HDL gets worse. I know it's necessary sometimes for contest prep to get a lean, hard look. When your estrogen gets high, you do get kind of soft looking. But when you're contest prep, that's fine. No big deal there. All right. Next question. Are gyno symptoms always related to hard lumps and sensitivity around the nipples or possible lactation? Or can you develop it without any symptoms? I would say any breast tissue growth is gynecomastia or some usually estrogen related. The lactation part, I think that only comes from when your prolactin is too high, which can be from nandrolones or letting your estradiol get too high. I know that has some effect on prolactin as well. In my, you don't always get hard lumps. Usually the first thing that at least in my experience, the first thing I get when my gyno is starting to flare up is my nipples will get itchy. I'll get itchy around the nipples. They'll get a little bit puffy. That's the first symptom I get. Not everybody gets hard lumps, but I would say if you start getting itchy nipples or puffy nipples or sore nipples, you need to address it right away. I would use an AI and possibly some tamoxifen, a serum, to help with that. Maybe cut out the offending compound, whatever is converted. Some people convert estrogen heavily from testosterone. Maybe cut that back. But I would address it immediately. The idea is you don't want to let the hard lumps form. The hard lumps are when you're fucked. So You want to get out ahead of it and I wish I'd known that when I was younger. I didn't. I let it go. Ended up with really bad gyno. So I didn't know back then. All right, let's see what we got next here. I'm going down through my questions. What do I want to do? All right, next question. I watched your pro bodybuilder cycle video, and I understand you're not promoting drug abuse, but unless a pro bodybuilder is sub 200 pounds and takes your test dose, I would say at least double it. Bodybuilding is all about abuse, and it's what's needed, and I support it, but too many channels sugarcoat it by playing the dosages down. In reality, Dallas McCarver's blood work tells the truth. He was taking 10 grams of test, not what you're saying. I don't know how many times I hear this from guys. Yes, there are dudes that abuse and do stupid shit. They're out there, but guys aren't taking fucking 10 grams of test. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know how many times I have to get this through people's head. Just think about the logistics of it. 10 grams of test. Okay, so you would have to take 1,500 milligrams of test per day. That's 6 cc's of test you would have to shoot every day. Sooner or later, you're going to run out of a place to fucking shoot it. You develop an abscess just from the fucking volume of oil you're putting in your body. Who the hell is shooting 6 cc's of test every fucking day? Not to mention you would get sick. I believe me, I've tried to push my doses up. I've fucked around with it before, and if I go over 1,200 milligrams of test, I get sick. Like it's like you have the flu. And I've worked my way up there before, and I can tell you, guys are not taking 10 grams of test. And I would, with Dallas McCarver, I don't know how much I would read into the blood work too. God only knows how long he was dead before they drew the blood and sent it off. I don't know how you would even get an accurate reading on the hormones when the blood is stagnant in the body and not circulating. I mean, he could have just taken a shot right before he died, or accidentally ganked a vein. We don't know. So who knows how accurate that information even was. I don't know of anybody that's taken 10 grams of test. And I talk to some people, and I hear what they're doing. I don't know of any coaches that are recommending anybody takes 10 grams of test. I hear the same thing about growth hormone too. Guys think pros are taking 20 units of growth hormone a day. You'd be spending 30 grand a year on growth hormone. Nobody can fucking afford that. I don't know. I mean, realistically, your average pro in the off season is probably taking somewhere between 2 and 2.5 grams. Maybe, the guys that are more conservative are in the 1 to 1.5 grams range. I hear people poo-pooing Greg Doucette taking 200 milligrams of test a week. Once you have size on, it is super easy to maintain it if you just take a minimum amount of gear. If you've submitted those gains, you can, and you're still training hard, you can keep most of what you had on very minimal gear usage if your diet is under control. It takes a lot to get bigger. It takes a lot to promote growth when you get to a certain size. It doesn't take a lot to maintain it. That's just been my experience. I mean, Jordan Peterson is pretty transparent about what he does, and I know he's been running TRT all year, and dude's still big as fuck. I mean, I know he's lost some weight, but I don't know. I hear of guys that deliberately try to downsize, and they stop taking everything, and it takes them a decade to get all that muscle off their body. Once it's cemented in, your body does not want to let it go. It likes homeostasis. You have achieved a new point of homeostasis with this big body that you've spent years building, and the body wants to hang out there. I don't know. You're an idiot if you think people are taking 10. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be cruel, but you're an idiot if you think people are taking 10 grams of test. I've never heard of anybody taking 10 grams of test ever, and I've been around some shit. I just don't think you physically could do it. I mean, maybe somebody has. I'm sure there's some dipshit out there somewhere that's done it. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. I've talked to people. I think I've been pretty transparent about what I've seen. I don't know. I know of guys that have pushed up to close to 3 grams. I don't know many people that go past that. It's possible. But once you get past 3 grams of total gear, usually you start having problems, like serious health problems, and shit starts going downhill. It's a bell curve. There's a point, more gear does work. I won't deny that, but you hit a point where more causes more side effects and less positive effects. All right, next question. If you wanted to tweak the Crazy Tren NPP Anavar cycle, this was a video I put up about a Tren NPP Anavar cycle. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Anyway, if you wanted to tweak the Crazy Tren NPP Anavar cycle and overcome the sexual dysfunction, what would you have changed? Use a mild TRT base somehow? Well, I didn't have sexual dysfunction. My dick worked. I just didn't want to fuck. I didn't have any sex drive. Those are two different things. So performing wasn't the issue. I could perform when I wanted to, but I had no desire to even have sex. The coach I worked with at that time, his solution for it was to add Proviron, to get your libido up. I never really tried it. Proviron does make you horny. I will say that. I would think, so his whole theory, adding a TRT, low dose TRT to it, defeats the whole purpose or theory of his cycle that I'd mentioned in the video. And that was somehow that, we do know that nandrolones upregulate aromatase expression and estrogen receptor sensitivity. And his theory is that a lot of the problems that people have with nandrolones is not the nandrolone itself, it's that there is an interaction with testosterone where it causes testosterone to more heavily convert to estrogen and in turn progesterone. So the progesterone and estrogen issues that people have with nandrolones are not from the nandrolones, it's from the nandrolones interacting with the test. That was his theory. So anyway, short answer, add Proviron for sex drive. Okay, let's see here. Last question. I want to wrap it up. We're getting close to 20 minutes. I recently tried nandrolone Deca at 200 milligrams per week and suffered horrendous emotional effects, usually associated with Tren, paranoia, anxiety, depression, etc. It was definitely the Deca, as everything else was constant in my life: TRT, training, nutrition. So do you think I will have these issues with all 19 NORs and should stay away from this family altogether? That is a really good question. 19 NORs with some people fucking mess up their head. I don't know what it is. I will say, when I run 19 NORs, I do get a little anxious. And people talk about Tren making them angry and upset. Tren actually gives me kind of anxiety. I worry about things. I do get a little short with people, but I've never felt super aggressive. And same thing with NPP. Sometimes at higher doses will make me a little anxious. I'm not an anxious guy normally, but I know some people, if they're prone to paranoia, anxiety, depression, etc., it can really exacerbate it with 19 NORs. You might just be the unlucky person that can't use 19 NORs. I don't know. I mean, you could experiment with Trens in and out of your system pretty fast, but I don't know. If you don't have a compelling reason to use them, I would just select another anabolic. Maybe you could do test and EQ, or test and primobolan, or whatever, some other choice. Choose something from the DHT column or the testosterone column to stack with your testosterone, or just run TRT. Nandrolones might not be for you. I know for some people can't tolerate them, so you might just be that unlucky guy. I mean, you could try running some Caber with it. I've heard that fixes it, but I don't like Caber either. I think Caber could cause fucking problems too. At least with me, I did not have a positive experience with it. So that's my 2 cents. But some people love it. I don't know. I didn't have a positive experience with it. So, final thought, probably stay away from the 19 NORs. That might be the best bet for you. Anyway, that's all I got today, guys. Take care.